Hi everybody, thanks for joining me for another tutorial from Melinda's Rubber Room. I am Melinda Pierce and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm here today to show you how to make this inside flap card. This was a card that I showed how to make on one of my recent Zoom classes, and I just wanted to let you know that you're all welcome to join me on my Zoom classes. They meet Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. All the information is found at Melinda's Rubber Room on Facebook. So feel free to join me over there and you can get all the latest information. It's the very top pin on my page for this week's Zoom classes. So it'll give you all the information, the link to the Zoom classes, the times, and all the products that you need to make the card that we are making during that specific week. So this is the card that we did last week. For the Zoom classes, you do not need to use the same products that I do. You're welcome to use any products that you have. So feel free to join us. It'd be a lot of fun to have you join us in making cards and participating in the featured card of the week. So again, this is the card that I will be showing you how to make today, and this was last week's Zoom card. All right, so I'm going to point you down on my work surface so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I never like to really make the same card twice. So today I am going to be making this card using the new Butterfly Brilliance stamp set and dies that are now available from Stampin' Up. So this is the stamp set. It's actually just one stamp. So this stamp here is one big stamp. It looks like this. And what you get with it is a die that cuts out all of those images all at once. So we cut it out like that. So in one pass through your cutter, you get 6 butterflies that you can use. So for a limited time, we are also selling the Designer Series paper pack. And one of the pieces in that pack is this one. This die will actually cut out all 6 of those butterflies all in one pass, and you'll be ready to go. So this is actually the combination that I'm using today, as well as some of the other Designer Series paper that comes in the pack. I'll show you that real quick. It's a little hard to see some of the images online, so it always helps to see bigger images. So again, this was the one that I showed earlier, and that's the back side. So I'm using that side for the front of my card, and I'm using this one for the inside of my card. And there's that one. I'm going to go through these relatively quickly. There's this one. I really like this one too. I just love the colors in here. They're just so pretty. Love that one. I think that brings us back to the beginning. Okay, so be sure to check that out. You can find all the information on my Rubber Room. Again, that's Melinda's Rubber Room on Facebook page. On the Facebook page, you can also shop at my store, my online store at www.melindapierce.stampinup.net, and all of that information is right up here in case you weren't able to write that down as I told you the information. Okay, so let's get to the card itself. So all we're going to do is start with a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. This is the thick white cardstock that Stampin' Up! Sells. It's now called Basic White. So you're just going to measure on the long side, you're going to measure at 5.5, and we're going to score at 5.5. Just going to lift this up and get my cutting blade out of the way, and then score it with the light gray blade. Turn this paper around until you're at 4.25. So you're going to score at 4.25 along this short side. All right, so I find it's easiest if I go ahead and fold on those score lines just so they're a little bit easier to see, especially with this white cardstock. Okay, so we want our card to open this way, and we want this flap to fold down. So we want to get rid of this corner square here. So it's the upper left rectangle that we want to get rid of. I'm just going to use my scissors to snip that off. And I'm just snipping right along that score line. You could use your paper cutter for this too, if you're comfortable using it that way. Okay, and then on the sample you'll see that this flap isn't quite as wide as the card itself. So we're going to measure in 1/2 inch from each side. So I'll bring my paper cutter back in. So if you have the Stampin' Up! Paper cutter, it does have 1/2 inch measurements on this side of the cutting channel. So I'm going to put my paper in to the 1/2 inch mark. Put my just cut down up until the score line. And the Stampin' Up! Trimmer does have little marks on the side of the blades, so you can kind of see where that blade is cutting. Okay, so then I'm going to lift this out, just kind of fold it back, and I'm just going to snip that 1/2 inch off. Like so. And I'll rotate this around and do the same thing on the other side. So I'm finding the 1/2 inch mark and cutting down to that score line. Just fold that back and snip it off. Okay. Now this is going to fold in like that, and this will be my flap, like so. So I did not do a very good job cutting off this section here, so I'm just going to go back and cut kind of past the fold line. I think would look a little bit nicer, because otherwise you kind of have a line there where the card wanted to fold. Okay, so that makes me happier. So I'm going to just reinforce my folds here with my bone folder. All right, so that is the base of the card, and that is really the most difficult part of this card. The rest of it is just assembling it. So I'm going to take my Pretty Peacock. So I wanted to point out that Pretty Peacock is one of the retiring colors, the in colors. So make sure you take a look at those 2019 through 2021 colors. There's some really good ones in there, including Pretty Peacock. It's actually one of my favorites. And I was so in love with it, I thought it was actually part of the normal color line, but apparently it isn't. So yeah, need to stock up on that before it's gone for good. So again, this is that same paper that I cut the butterflies out with. So I'm using the reverse side. Very, very pretty, kind of a watercolor look. Some of the other colors that are retiring are the what is it? The Sea Spray. It's kind of a purplish, light purplish color, very pretty too. So there's 5 colors in total that will be retiring. Okay, so these are the butterflies that I cut out from the paper itself. And I think I'm going to pick out let's see, these 3 to go on the front. And I think I'll go ahead and pop those up with dimensionals. I think I'm subconsciously mourning the loss of Pretty Peacock because my nails are pretty close to that color. And I don't normally color my nails a different color, but I went a little different this time. Usually I go with the reds and maroons and decided to spice it up a little bit. And it just so happened to be close to Pretty Peacock. Okay, just adding in some more little dimensionals. I'm going to put these, tuck it in a little bit so it looks like they're not all just flying their own little way. Kind of love that you can just cut these butterflies out with the paper and they're already so prettily colored. Prettily? Is that a color? Is that a word? They're colored very pretty. So don't have to worry about doing that. Tuck that one under a little bit too. Okay, and then I was going to put a happy birthday down here. And I just stamped that and cut it out with a die from the art gallery set. This set has great words in it for every occasion. And then it has these two little dies here that are just, I think they're just a perfect size for putting your greetings on your card. So that's another good one to check out. And I'm going to raise that up with dimensionals too. Never have enough dimensionals. It's kind of something that I add onto each order because I know I will always use them. All right, and I think this needs a little bit of more bling on it. Let me see if I can find a little something. I'll use these. These are iridescent pearls. These are actually in the mini catalog right now. And I think they are on back order. But keep checking and I'm sure they'll be back in stock soon. Just adds another little something to the card. Okay, so the inside flap. Again, we're going back to the Pretty Peacock to match the front. Forgot to give you the measurements on these. So again, the base was 8.5 by 11, scored at 4 1/4 and 5 1/2. And then you're going to cut off the upper left corner of your 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Then you're going to cut off a 1/2 inch from each side of the top flap and cut the sides off of the flap part. And then for the inside mat, you're going to want, I'm sorry, this is for the front mat. You're going to want 4 inches by 5 1/4. That's for the Pretty Peacock on the front mat. And your DSP, or cardstock if you want, is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. And then the inside mat is going to be 3 inches by 5 1/4. And then your DSP for the inside is going to be 2 3/4 by 5. And those are all of the measurements. So this, again, is part of that same DSP pack that comes with the butterfly, called Butterfly Brilliance. And again, this DSP, along with the wood grain 12 by 12 paper that is available right now through the Butterfly Brilliance promotion, are exclusively offered through May 3rd. So if you want to get those papers, make sure you get those on order. I have a feeling they will sell out, so you might want to get them sooner than later. Okay, this butterfly I'm not going to raise up because I don't like to have raised images on the inside of my card, so I'm just going to glue that down. like so. And I think I'm going to just save the big butterfly and just put the little one down on the corner of the inside of my card. So when you're placing your items or stamping on the inside, you want to just make sure that it's covered up by this flap. So you don't want to stamp or place anything in this margin here. You just want it to be tucked in underneath that flap. All right, so that is my card for today. I also wanted to show you this one that I had done. This one is with the seashell set that is in the current mini catalog. Again, beautiful paper, stamps, also comes with an embossing folder. So that's another beautiful set to use to make this card. All right, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. And if you would like to purchase any of the products, they are available on my online store at melindapierce.stampinup.net. And feel free to join me over at my Melinda's Rubber Room on Facebook. And you'll find all the latest information there for all of my Zoom classes and any specials that are happening with Stampin' Up. All right, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.